What psychedelics opened up for me was the knowing that there's more to life than just the solid 3D.
Curiosity dissolves fear. You cannot be curious and afraid at the same time. What does this mean to you?
I think I learned this in part from Elizabeth Gilbert. She has this great quote of curiosity and depression cannot coexist. You can't be curious and depressed at the same time. When we say abundance, many people think money, but I have realized so much of abundance is about trust. And you just know whatever happens, it's working out for you. The mushrooms will show me where in my life I'm feeling scarcity or where am I thinking scarcity. When I started creating income goals that were specific, not just I want to be wealthy, but this much a month, and then it started coming true.
And that God mode, what is God to you?
Wow, that's a deep question, bro. God to me,
So welcome to another episode of The Transformation Code. Today we have a special guest, James Xander, specialist in altered states of consciousness, in psychedelics. And we're going to have a fascinating conversation where we deep dive into altered states of consciousness, how you can use this to transform your life. And also it would be worth noting that he's created an amazing program called God Mode to help you unlock that God mode. So yeah, I can't wait for this conversation. Enjoy. Just to dive straight in, bro, you've dived into the altered stage of consciousness and psychedelics. Well, for you, what was life before you had that moment of realization about the truth of this reality?
I think it was a lot more intellectual and a lot less knowing. So like what psychedelics opened up for me was the knowing that reality is energy, the knowing that there's more to life than just the solid 3D. I sort of knew that intellectually from books, from spiritual texts, but it was in my mind. It wasn't really embodied. And psychedelics really opened up my intuition, my channel, so to speak, where now it's like I perceive more frequency. And I think it does that for almost everyone who goes on these adventures.
And what was life like for you when you were even just like taken back before, going back to like school days? Were you interested in like altered states? Was it something you were aware of? Was it something that was passed down from your parents? Or was this a completely new world that you found yourself stepping into?
It's so interesting. I was very interested in manifestation, even as a teenager. Someone gave me the book, Ask and It Is Given by Abraham Hicks. Was the first ever self-help book that I ever read. And at the beginning of the book, there's an intro by Wayne Dyer. And Wayne Dyer says, this book will change your life. Like, take everything that Abraham Hicks says and apply it. And being that young, impressionable age, I really believed that. And in a way, it did change my life because it led me to so many other books about the mind and manifestation. And then also altered states of consciousness. It's so funny because I was into things like astral projection, hadn't been able to do it, but was like reading about it, interested in it, but never really dove into psychedelics. It's like psychedelics found me. They were just like a couple frequencies away, but enough far away that I just couldn't perceive them in my reality. No one around me was doing it. No one ever mentioned the benefits of it. And so I was a complete novice when I came to them. I was very nervous, in fact. Yeah.
How did they find you?
So the first ever sort of pivotal moment came from my friend Sky. And Sky came to Vancouver to visit me. And he had this little weed edible that he forgot to, as he was driving across the border from the US to Canada, he forgot that in his bag there was a weed edible. And he knew I was very interested to discover these altered states of consciousness, and he knew I was nervous, and he said, look, this is not a psychedelic, it's weed, but it will open up your channel a bit. You'll see a difference in reality. I was very nervous. We went on a little walk in the park, and I took the edible. It was very gentle, but it was just enough to show me, oh, I'm still James, but more. It's like there's a different frequency that I'm able to perceive on weed. And about a month later, another friend said, "Do you want to go camping? I have some LSD." And it was his first time doing it. It was my first time doing it. So we were both complete novices. And by then, because of the edible experience, I now trusted, okay, this actually could be interesting. I'm ready to dive in. And so LSD was my proper, like, first deep psychedelic experience. And I mean, it was incredible. It was beautiful. It was the best place you could do it at, a campground.
Oh, perfect.
Where also was psychedelic friendly campground somehow. So no one cared there if you did psychedelics. Everyone was very friendly. The nature was, of course, on psychedelics, it just opens up to you. It's so beautiful. It was lightly raining, and every drop of rain that fell on the leaves kind of felt like music to me in the psychedelic state. Another moment, which I'll never forget, there was like a snail or a slug crawling across the ground. I just crouched down, and for like 10 minutes, it was like I was communing with the slug. And the feeling I got was what it's doing right now, crawling across this forest leaves and doing whatever it's doing, is the most important thing to it. And therefore, every other living thing in this universe, what it's doing is the most important thing to it. And it was such a profound, empathetic realization that everything from the bug on the tree to the spider to the squirrel to the cat, it's like every single piece of consciousness is doing the most important thing to it. And there was a couple other lessons in there, but that really opened the gateway. From there, I discovered mushrooms. Well, they found me again. Mushrooms, then DMT, then many years later, ayahuasca, San Pedro, Bufo. So it's been a journey, man. And the journey doesn't end. I feel like every time I go on a mushroom trip, I'm still discovering parts of my psyche that I hadn't had access to before.
What I love about, going back from our conversations that we've had and going back through your content is how you link the psychedelic journey, not through just like this trip experience, but actually how you can integrate that back into day-to-day life.
Yes.
So how do you find that integration?
It's pivotal for me. And actually going back to the LSD experience, there was one moment in that trip where I looked in a puddle and I saw my reflection. And on top of the reflection, on top of my face in the reflection, I saw layers of ego and defense mechanisms. On the LSD, it was like I could see me and then layers above me. And I'm like, wow. So if I was to work with plant medicine, I could maybe remove some of the layers and get back to a more core, authentic core. But to answer your question with personal growth, for me, it's everything. When I go on a mushroom trip now, I'm doing it not for entertainment and not even so much for the trippy visuals or the cosmic mysteries, although those are fun. For me, it's the personal growth. I'm always looking for what is the one or two things from the trip that I can immediately apply to my day-to-day life. So sometimes it's very situational. Like, let's say I've had some tensions with someone. I go into a mushroom journey. Usually the mushrooms will show me things from their point of view, or they'll show me a more unconditional love point of view. So like the tension dissolves in the trip. So when I come back from the mushroom trip, my job then is what do I need to do now? Is it to forgive them, forgive myself, ask for forgiveness? Like, what is the thing now that I've had the new frequency from the mushrooms about this situation? How can I implement it? With money, I think that's a good example. People don't often think business and psychedelics go together. But for me, if I go into a trip with the intention to learn more about wealth, probably what will happen is mushrooms will show me where in my life I'm feeling scarcity, or where am I thinking scarcity? Where can I be more giving? So, or even like fresh ideas for business. For example, right now, I have this new project, Good Morning Legend, which came out of a mushroom trip. I just had this surge of creativity. I was like, I need to do this. And then you come out of the trip and you're like, well, I'm busy. I don't have time. No, I need to do this. The mushrooms told me I need to do this. So
And how did you get that message?
I had been working with creating my own audios for timeline shifting, where you record what does it feel like in this new reality for you, and you record it in your own voice, and then you listen back to it before bed. And I was really enjoying creating these. And I thought, what if I created these activations, and each activation would have a separate theme? So like a 10-minute activation just on success, a 10-minute activation on wealth, a 10-minute activation on galactic breakthroughs, just these fun themes. Initially, I was going to do it as a course. And then in the mushroom journey, I was like, no, you got to make it public. It's got to be a podcast. Everyone has to be able to access it. So it was just like all the pieces that were floating out in my mind were coalesced in the trip. And like the final puzzle pieces were presented.
Mm. Yeah, it's fascinating how you get like these downloads of information from something.
From something.
Something. Yeah. What is that something?
I think it's partly your mind being activated to another level of intelligence, and then partly the mushroom consciousness. I feel like the mushrooms themselves they have an intelligence that is coming through on a trip. And then it's like there's a higher self as well that you get access to. So I sometimes feel like I have this trio in my head of like me, the higher self, and the mushrooms, and they're all working on me to improve me as a human being and to advance my evolution.
Yeah, because it is fascinating. Like the journeys which I've had have been like, they've just been so life enhancing, because it's like, wow, all of this is actually going on, but we're just not aware of it in a day-to-day basis. And then suddenly the colors are brighter. Communicating with people energetically.
Yeah.
Where you're not saying anything yet. I've even had it where like there's been visions of, and after an experience communicating, it's like, yeah, I was experiencing that same thing too. So it's like there's this unseen world that we're suddenly able to tap into, which is there always.
Totally. So a lot of cartoons or movies make psychedelics seem out to be like as if visuals are added on top of reality. But for me, it's the opposite. It's as if you're being able to peer behind the veil at the source code of reality. And it's all there right now. Like right here as we're sitting in this room, all the sacred geometry that you would see in a psychedelic trip is somewhere. It's just not on the frequency that we're on right now. And I feel like when you take mushrooms, or especially something like DMT or ayahuasca, it takes you not on a made up world, but more of this world. It's like this world, and then there's more frequency to it. That's always been there. That's my perception of it. It's you're not creating it. You're just looking at reality even more finely, even with more detail.
Like a radio frequency where you change the channel.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're accessing these different pathways, this different information. There's always there. It's just the channel we're on.
Yeah.
It has to be dialed down a little bit, because there's so much information on a journey like that, right? Where almost like an overwhelming amount of information that if we were to live in that state all of the time, it would be like, yeah.
So almost like a microscope, right? If you look at through a microscope and you see germs, and you're like, okay, so they're always there. But for the purpose of this game, we don't need to see them all the time. We don't need to see all the microbes crawling around. We just distract the game. So I think it's the same thing with mushrooms. It's like we chose to play, let's call it the 3D Planet Earth game.
Yeah.
And the 3D Planet Earth game has a couple of rules and constraints. Has the illusion of death, has the illusion of being born, has the illusions of, you can't fly, gravity exists, like all of these rules, because a game with constraints is more fun. If you could just do anything and snap your fingers and manifest anything right away, which you probably can do in other games, like the astral realm, but that's not what the Earth game is about. The Earth game, as far as I can see, is about growth and evolution and having that experience of not having it instantaneous, but being able to grow step by step. And so, yeah, I think that's why we don't see all of these crazy geometries and frequencies all the time, because it would be distracting. Although now I feel like we're entering into an age where more and more people are starting to perceive them. I feel like we're all kind of becoming more psychic. I feel like my intuition personally has gone up so much. if tomorrow the New York Times said there is aliens, whereas 10 years ago it would be like, oh my God, it's on the front page of the New York Times. Today it would be like, yeah, of course. Don't you feel that? Like more people would be like, yeah, we knew that. We knew that from DMT. We knew that from other experiences. Like I'm no longer seeking the proof I was as a young kid of like, show me proof of something, because I've seen it all in the psychedelic trips. I've seen not all, but I've seen enough mysteries to really start to believe in all of the stuff that before seemed out there, whereas now it just feels normal.
What are the few of the things that you now believe that it's just is true, but maybe it's in the unseen?
Let's see.
Thinking like multi-dimensions?
Parallel universes.
Yeah.
Infinite timelines. When it comes to aliens, like it makes sense to me that there might be a lot of non-physical entities right here, right now, just a few frequencies away. So whereas before, it's like when you would think of aliens or UFOs, you think of something physical that comes into this reality. But what if it's already here? It's just in a slightly different dimension of Earth. And so when people see entities, it's like they're perceiving a different frequency. Do you know what I mean?
I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. It's like there's some things which, yeah, we may think is like this physical, but actually then there's more energetic, but they're at play and they're here now. It's just a different frequency that we can tap into.
Yeah.
So with different frequencies, because this is like Neville Goddard, you're big into his work, right?
So I just want to add one more thing on frequency.
Yeah.
In the same way that we talked about aliens, I think it's true with things like business or relationships, or at some point you decided to get on the Bali frequency and then you came here and now you're like anchored in that frequency. Same thing for me. At some point we decided to get on the entrepreneur frequency, whereas other people are living completely different lives. Some of them are not aware at all of some of these frequencies. Some are aware, but they feel like they're out of reach. So I wanted to bring this up because anyone listening to this, I think they can get value out of thinking of their goals and dreams as already existing on a frequency. So you're not trying to create it from thin air. You're actually just trying to tune into an existing frequency. And that's what Neville talks a lot about. Neville Goddard, a mystic from the 1960s, 1900s, who wrote a lot of books about the power of imagination. And Neville's whole philosophy was the imagination is God, and the imagination creates everything. And that this 3D world is like a shadow world of the imagination. So everything is created mentally first, and then filters down into the physical. And I love his philosophies. His books are so resonant to me.
And what principles have you taken from his work and you've applied and actually had tangible results with?
The biggest one is from his most famous book, Feeling is the Secret, which you've read recently as well.
Yeah, that's the one I binge listened to last night.
The idea being that you don't want to just think of what you want. You need to get the feeling of what it would be like if you were there right now. And so Neville asks this question of, what would it feel like if I was the man or woman I wanted to be, right? And this is someone anyone can ask themselves. What would I feel like if I was already wealthy? What would I feel like if I was already free? So I've been applying that in my life in various ways. I think the biggest way I've applied it recently, let's see. I've been calling in, so my word for 2025 is expansion. And as I'm making these activations from Good Morning Legend, I'm putting themes of expansion and breakthroughs into it. And also, this was really interesting. The other day I did an activation, I called it Destiny Acceleration. And the idea was, let's accelerate reality. Like whatever destiny is there for me, let's get to it speedier. I kid you not, like within a few days of making that audio, and of course, when I'm recording it, I'm feeling the feelings because I have to feel it to transmit it. Things started speeding up. Like I joined a new gym, got a new trainer. Then like I went to this birthday party and someone's like, yeah, we're going to this business mastermind tomorrow. Everything in my body's like, I have to be at that mastermind. I just heard about it and it's coming up tomorrow. I go to the mastermind, best decision ever. I meet like incredible people, incredible entrepreneurs. So when I look at the correlation between intention and feeling and how it manifests, it's very clear to me something is happening.
Yeah, and it's like they're just thinking like it is like that frequency where it's already there, like a TV. There's multiple channels, and the channels are always there. They're always existing, but you can choose at any moment to click onto Sky Sports or in the UK like BBC. You can choose that channel, but actually that's so empowering because we're like, wow, there's these multiple channels that we can choose at any moment. What channel am I choosing right now?
Exactly. So years ago, I was in a very deep depression. I had just lost a business. I lost my entire fortune from that business. And I went into a deep, dark place. And when you're in the depression frequency, you really feel like you have no choice because it's so self-perpetuating. But now looking back at it, I could see that in essence, I was tuning into that frequency, and the stories I was telling myself in my head kept me in that frequency. And then it wasn't until the mushrooms came into my life and they broke through that frequency. It's like imagine you're sitting in a dark room with blacked out windows and someone comes and starts wiping off the black paint off the windows and the light starts streaming through. The light was always there and suddenly it's streaming through. And that's what mushrooms, and that's why I'm such a huge proponent of psychedelics for personal growth. They helped me so much in a dark time. And they without them, I might not have been able to break the script, the story, the frequency that I was at that point on.
It's just like it penetrates through whatever you're going through and amplifies it. So then it's almost like you can't ignore it then. It's like this stuff is going on and I can now see it.
Yeah.
And I can process it.
Yeah.
And move through it and decide a different path if it's not right.
It's a truth teller. So I find mushrooms, also definitely ayahuasca, it shows you more truth of who you are, and it shows you the shadows that you're not maybe yet facing in yourself. The other way I like to describe it is you are currently in the game of life, and it's like you can't see the full maze of life. And on psychedelics, for 6 hours, you're taken above the maze, and it's like you can see everything. You're like, oh, this is a dead end. Why am I still here? I can go around here. So that's what I get from mushrooms is this reference point of the whole maze. And then I go back into the maze. But now I remember what I saw in the trip and it helps me navigate the maze.
And how can a high achiever or an entrepreneur use that in the way in which they show up or in their habits, in their routines? How can they start to use psychedelics in a way that skyrockets their success, the way they feel internally, their fulfillment?
It'll happen naturally if you just start using them intentionally. So always go into a trip with intention. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to improve your business, you could use the intention of show me what is blocking me from my highest level of performance, right? Or show me what's blocking me from my highest level of income, highest level of abundance. Show me where I'm still in scarcity. If you go into a very strong intention like that into a trip, very likely the mushrooms will take you straight to the blockages, the childhood memories, the events that are now blocking that abundance from coming through. Or if someone doesn't want to do a deep trip, they can microdose. So just a tiny bit of mushrooms, one day on, one day off. There's a couple different methods to do it, but the idea is you're just tweaking your system a tiny bit without going fully into a trip. My way, I like to do deep trips. I have tried microdosing, and then every time I'm like, this would be better if I just go deep. I will get more out of this if I'm doing mushrooms. I'm go hard or go home.
Yeah, all in.
All in.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of entrepreneur friends who only microdose and they love it, and that's their way of doing it. So different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, and how should someone lay out a trip? so that they have an experience that they can take away and use the lessons in their life, rather than an experience where it's like, I don't know what to do with that. Like, that was so overwhelming. Or
Yeah. I have a whole checklist on it. It's free. mushroomchecklist.com. They got a free PDF on what to do before, during, and after a trip. The biggest thing is listening, like really listening to what you're being shown in the trip. Not resisting the trip. Being curious about what you're shown. The message is always there. It's just, can you hear it? Can you see it? There was a trip recently where I felt blocked, which is rare for me in the journey. And I was just like, guys, I'm talking to the mushrooms. I'm like, guys, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting the message. And I felt like I was failing the trip. I was failing the mushrooms. And I went to the bathroom and I'm just like sitting on the floor and I'm like, this is not working. Like, how am I not getting it? I feel the message is right there and I'm not getting it. And then I looked at the clock and I'm like, oh, it's only been 40 minutes. Let's give it a little bit of time.
right.
Because the mushrooms have only had 40 minutes to work on me. And my ego is still very online. Let's give it some time. And I put my phone away and went back into the trip. And within an hour or two, I suddenly got it. Like, I started getting the messages. So the best thing you can do in a trip is just be calm, chill out, listen to what's happening, be in a very safe environment, preferably your home or somewhere where you're really comfortable. Have an intention, have a candle lit, say a little prayer before the mushroom trip begins. And if you combine all these things, you're very likely to have a transformative trip. It might be difficult if that's what you need. The mushrooms will give you what you most need. But by the end of the trip, no matter how difficult the beginning or the middle is, I always find that by the end, the mushrooms bring you to a point of catharsis. Like, I'll never forget, there was one trip years ago where I was in such a state of, I don't know if it was grief or sadness, I would say, a state of sadness. And in that moment, I'm like, I have no idea how this trip could possibly turn out good. Like clockwork, by the end of the trip, I got the breakthroughs I needed, the insights I needed, and it became an amazing trip. But in that first part where you're not really yet getting the message, or you're just about to get it, that's difficult. So you got to surrender and you got to just stay with it. That's why if it's your first time, have a trip sitter, have someone there who's experienced.
And someone you can speak about it with afterwards, right? Like, to integrate an experience, to help process and
totally
bring it all together.
Yeah. These days I do solo trips, like for myself. So I'm just integrating with myself. But yeah, if it's your first time or second time, very helpful to have a person there. Yeah.
And with like the psychedelics, it's like like you were sharing, with the layers of the ego start to dissolve.
Yeah.
And then you come to sometimes this point of oneness, of wholeness, of beyond the illusion of separation in this reality. And then you come back to this reality and it's like, oh, now it feels separate again. And it's like, we're back in this.
Yeah. It used to bother me. It used to bother me that I would get so high up in these trips of full love, full surrender, almost like this state of enlightenment. And then, of course, the next morning, your problems are still there, everything. And I'm like, so is anything changing? But I have learned that actually things are changing. It takes time, especially if you do the integration. You're always going to come back down. So that first of all, that calms me down. I'm not expecting to stay in that state of pure love forever and ever. I know I'm going to come back down to 3D. But then if I can just take one piece of that trip that I learned and embody it, over time, things change very much. Yeah.
And what do you see as the benefits of the ego?
The ego gets a bad rap, doesn't it?
I agree. That's why I asked the question, because I actually,
To play the game effectively, I think you need an ego. If you don't want to play the game at all and you want to just go to the mountains and dissolve into mist and go back to source, that's one thing. But if you want to play the human game which is, I think, what we came here to do. You need an ego. The ego provides this identity structure. It also it allows you to build businesses, to build, like, I don't think you could really build an empire if you didn't have an ego. So I think for the purpose of the game, it's very useful. And I would challenge anyone who doesn't want to have an ego that maybe they need to look at that. Make friends with your ego. Have fun with it. You know? Too much humbleness can be as much as a problem as too much ego. Truly. You got to own yourself. You got to own your gifts. You got to own your identity. So, and I think ego is part of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think where things like psychedelics, meditations, breath work kind of creates a space between being able to observe this ego and the layers that we've got. And then for me, it's been a process of unlayering and then being like, all right, what bits of that do I want to keep? And what bits of that do I want to add in? What do I need to remove? Because the ego is, you take that all away. It's like, who are you? What's your identity? Like, what do you stand for? What do you value? Yet the problem comes when too attached to that. So then it's not adaptable. Almost like a character in a game where we've got this character and at any point we can change the character. We can, add extra points, make them slightly more powerful, make them more vocal, make them have more energy. But it's like, if we're too attached to the person who we are today, then how do we make that change? Whereas something like psychedelics is like, right, this is me right now. Zoom out. What bits do I like and I want to keep? And then what bits do I want to shift and add in?
I love the way you say that. That's exactly it. So you just described perfectly, like, the downsides of the ego is you get too attached to who you are. And that's where the psychedelics come in and they're like, to turn it down a notch, let me show you some other things about yourself. And then it's like you get to build a new operating system or make some tweaks in the current system. Yeah, I love that.
Which goes into unlocking God mode.
Yes.
What is God mode?
So Unlock God Mode is a 30-day consciousness program that I designed. It's to train your consciousness, where every day for 30 days, I take you on a journey of your soul and I teach you one framework or tool that will enhance the simulation or enhance your life, enhance the reality you're living in, make you a better manifester, a better creator, a more intentional, purposeful soul.
And that God mode, what is God to you?
Wow, this is a deep question, bro. God to me is like the all that is, the all of existence, pure consciousness, pure energy, the building block of everything, pure love. I think it's undescribable to some degree. When I did Bufo, that I think was like where I really felt God, complete non-duality, with unity with everything. So in the context of the course, I sort of use the words God mode almost like, imagine you're in a video game and you want to unlock the God mode level where you get more powers in the video game. So I used it in a more cheeky way. But when we're talking about the divine itself and like the God force, that is so sacred and it's so tough to describe, but you can feel it. And I think mushrooms, well, I know mushrooms every time they bring me closer to God. Bufo, without a doubt. Ayahuasca, definitely. I think we were gifted psychedelics as a way to not lose touch with that divine spark within us. What is God to you?
Oneness. The energy, the source that connects each and every one of us, that is inside of us. Rather than seeing God as something that's separate, I believe that God is inside you, me, everyone who's listening, every person, every plant, every animal, And there's this union that when we can tap into that energy, words can't describe it. It just is. It's everything, yet it's also nothing. And Bufo gave me that insight where it just was like, the only way I can describe it is like being in a rocket ship, strapping in and just going, and then just felt like everything in my mind and in my brain just went,
Wow.
and then I was there in nothing, yet also connected to everything. And it was so bliss.
Wow. Beautiful.
And then the lesson from that coming back was, it makes you feel even more connected to the people you come into contact with. Like, why would you harm someone else when you're the same?
Absolutely.
Like, you and me are the same. Why would I put you down? Why would I harm you? Like, why would I consciously make that decision?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Anytime you're giving to someone, you're giving to yourself. Anytime you're hurting someone, you're hurting yourself. When I'm really in the state of divine flow and I'm really connected to God, when I drive on the scooters in Bali and I see the people coming in the other direction and I'm looking at their faces, I'm actually seeing God in each one of their faces. The grumpy man that's coming from work, but that's a piece of God. The girl on the back of a scooter, another piece of God. Like, everyone is God, 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 God. And it's so trippy to realize that you're basically consciousness interacting with consciousness, and that it's all one at the end of the day. But for the purpose of the game, we have this cool separation effect where it feels like we're all separate.
And that was actually a hard thing I had accepting, was from my experience like Bufo, with where you connected and you see your God in the person who you're driving past on a scooter. But then also, if from that sense God is everything, then also the harm that you see on the planet. This is a difficult thing to accept. You see like wars, and it's like, oh well, if God's everything, like God is also that. And then I believe that as we then have conscious choice to do what we know internally in our heart, in our soul, in our highest potential is the right thing, is the loving thing. And I feel that that's a choice that we make in every moment, where we're either choosing the destructive thought or the destructive action, or we're choosing the empowered thought, the empowered action. And that's a lifelong journey, because we have infinite choices that we can choose at any moment.
I think if something exists on planet Earth and continues to exist, such as war, it's because there's some spiritual or cosmic benefit for it. There's some lesson that we still haven't learned. And this is the way we learn it. We probably could learn it in other ways that are more loving, but this is the way we're choosing to learn it. I was thinking deeply about this in an ayahuasca journey, that it seems like, this is going to sound a little bit controversial, but certain countries, they seem to have a propensity for war. So you almost have to think of it from a consciousness level. It's like, what is it about the consciousness of that country that is inviting this experience over and over and over again? And what is it about the consciousness of other countries where it's not inviting that experience at all? There's a reason for everything. And I'm not claiming to know the reason or being an expert in it. But I do know that every single thing that has happened to me, both bad and good, I can see how it came from my consciousness. It was almost entirely, if not entirely, self-created. And so I think that's true for every individual. And then I think it's true for communities, for neighborhoods, for cities. Cities have a certain consciousness. Austin has a different consciousness than New York, which is different than LA, which is different than Bali. And so, talking about back to frequencies, we all find ourselves on the frequency that we most need for our current soul evolution. So there's like some people in times of hardship, they find themselves pulled into that hardship. And others seem to just skate right on the outer edges. Could be the same country, the same city, the same tragedy, or the same hardship. One person gets off completely scot-free, just skates around it. Another is dragged into it. I think it comes down to the level of consciousness. And that's what Unlock God Mode is about. That's what my work with mushrooms is about, is how can I purify my consciousness so that I'm always in integrity, living in alignment, living in truth as much as I possibly can, learning from my mistakes when I don't. And then it just makes the whole journey much smoother. And in fact, life has been very smooth for me like the last couple of years. And I think it's because of all the work that came before when it wasn't smooth. And it was like ups and downs and roller coasters. But looking back, if you looked at my mind at the time, in the mind, there was ups and downs and roller coasters. And the more I meditate and the more inner work I do, the calmer the mind becomes and the calmer reality becomes. And of course, sometimes things still surprise you. You're like, okay, this is interesting. What's the lesson in this? Why am I attracting this experience? So I try to ask that question every time. And even I was talking to our mutual friend, Deddy, and he said, what is good for you in this situation, and what's the lesson? What's good about it? That was such a cool question I'm going to experiment with.
What's good about it?
Yeah, like anytime something happens that's seemingly bad, stop and ask yourself 2 questions. What is good about this that maybe I'm not seeing? And what's the lesson? And just from that, it starts to open the consciousness in other ways.
Yeah, because like the event's the same, or the thing that's happened is the same.
Yeah.
I think that's about the past. It's like the past is the thing where, we can't physically go back and change the past, but the thing that we always have power over is the perception that we have of the past. We can shift that at any moment. I'm curious, what is one pattern that you still have to work on frequently now that you've noticed inside of yourself that your highest self, like James, the 2.0 highest version, that pattern wouldn't be playing, but you're still working on it now? Or do you feel that you're so aware of your patterns that isn't really the case?
No, there's always work to do. Let me think of what is the pattern I'm currently working on. I mean, I think a big one for me right now, which you know about, is I have done so much mental and spiritual work, but not as much physical work on myself. And that is, I'm really looking at the patterns there, like what is holding me back from going to the gym more often, working out, becoming more fit, more strong. So this is the patterns I'm trying to embody more, is how can I hang around more strong, fit people and pick up the codes that maybe I wasn't giving it as much attention as it needed, So that would be one.
This is amazing. So yeah, the code that you've picked up, one of them being the environment now that you're putting yourself in.
Yeah.
So that you hang around with more people who are in line with the person who you're looking to become. What other codes do you use when you notice a pattern or you notice that you want to change into something new? What else do you do to create that change?
Getting a mentor of any kind is like the fastest way. So that's why I'm working with a trainer right now. Actually, I'm not just a trainer for the gym, but I also have a coach. And it's like anytime you have a mentor who's in your corner, you're just going to grow that much faster. Whereas if you try to do it alone, you're making mistakes that you could easily not make if you just had someone looking over your shoulder and helping you and guiding you. So mentorship, getting around expanders, meaning people that are living the life you want, that maybe you're even uncomfortable approaching or hanging out with because they're going to expand you. Their ways of thinking are expansive. Expanders, mentors, learning like all the time. If you know that there's a certain area you need to improve in, what if you added 200 hours of education into it? 200 hours of YouTube about that specific topic, or 200 hours of reading. That would make a profound difference. Feeling yourself as the person who is on the way to that, if not already there. So with Neville, it would be more accurate to say, imagine yourself as already fit or already wealthy. Sometimes it's difficult to do that if you're right at the beginning of the journey. So in that case, I use the trick of, well, just notice the progress you're making and just extrapolate that. If I continue on this journey making 1% improvements every day, where will that take me in 100 days?
Mm. Yeah, because sometimes the long-term thing of someone who, like the feeling, right? Creating the feeling of the future self, like can sit and visualize it. But there's that element of the mind that goes, no, you haven't done that yet. Like you need to experience that before you can. But yeah, it's kind of like a different reality that you have to tap into when you close your eyes and visualize. It's kind of like you have to be a little delusional in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Delusional, when I use the word delusional, as in like when you close your eyes, believing that actually you can have anything when with your eyes closed. Like you can create whatever movie, whatever picture you'd like, and you can feel that picture, feel that movie, live it with a deep trust that then it's going to show up.
Lately, I've just been focusing on the feeling, embodying the feeling of the person I want to be, whether that's through affirmations or through just day-to-day life. How can I imbue my day with more confidence, with more trust in myself, with more abundance? Gratitude as well plays a huge role. So being thankful for what you have, and then flipping that into being thankful for what you don't yet have as if you already have it. That can be super powerful.
Mm. So yours is more, the code for you is more the frequency, creating the feeling of the emotion.
Creating the feeling, getting very clear on what you want. This is going to sound simplistic, but most people, they don't have very clear goals. Like, and you have a personal example with this where you made a list, right?
Yeah.
Of your ideal partner, and then you manifested her.
Mm.
When I started creating income goals that were specific, not just I want to be wealthy, but this much a month, and then it started coming true. The other week, I wrote in my intentions, I intend to become deeper friends with this person. There was like a specific person. I knew them, they knew me, but we weren't that close friends. And I had a desire for a deeper friendship. I just put that in the intention, very clear intention, right? Like it's not vague. Within a few days, they started like texting me more, reaching out to me. I was like, wow, like all it took was for me to write it down very clearly and it started manifesting. And also there was no resistance to it. That's a big piece too. So you can write down something very clearly, such as, I want $1 billion. But if there's hidden resistance to that desire and what that would actually do to your life, and change is scary, whether it's good change or bad. And if someone says, I want $1 billion, but they're deep down, they're actually scared of what that would do for their taxes, their social circle, how people perceive them, maybe fear of losing the money, fear of being seen as too successful. It's like all of these fears will prevent the desire from coming through. Whereas when you start with something that you know you have no resistance to it, I want a deeper friendship with this person. No resistance. If this happens, there's only good from it. It suddenly comes through very quick. And so with income goals, I recommend to people to start with a number that is a stretch, but that you have no resistance to. Or if there is a resistance, work on that with mushrooms or with other tools.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you work on that resistance piece?
You look at what are you really afraid of? My friend Jacob introduced me to this exercise where you close your eyes and you imagine almost like a thermometer that you're or not a thermometer, like a dial, and it's setting the temperature, but it's setting the temperature, the wealth temperature of your life. So let's say we put this temperature to $500 a month. That's your income now. For most people, if they really close their eyes and tune into, okay, what would it feel like if I only earned $500 a month? They clench up a little bit. They feel like, I don't know, for you, you can try this now. It's like you feel a bit of tension. Okay, We turn it up to 1,000. You feel a little bit better, right? Turn it up to 2,000. Okay, now take the dial, turn it up to $5,000 a month. Okay, turn it up to $10,000 a month. $25,000 every single month. $50,000. $100,000. Take the dial and turn it to $250,000 every month. $500,000. And really feel like, what would that feel like? Right now, I'm earning $500,000 a month. $1 million a month. So I'd love to hear your experience.
Yeah.
But typically, people feel very distraught in the beginning of like, oh, it's too little. Then they feel comfortable at the range that they're usually at now. As soon as like they hit the number that they're currently at, it's like, okay. Then like explain to me what was the next thing for you?
Yeah, this is exactly what happened. Like it felt constricting to begin with.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, and then it felt lighter and lighter and lighter until it got, like 25. I was like, and then when it went to 50, it was still like light, and then when it went to 250, it would kind of started to be like a little bit like, oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. So it's so fascinating because you start glitching out at some point when you keep going higher.
Yeah.
And
then the million, kind of a million a month was just like, like it was blocked,
Yes.
So really interesting.
And so what I started doing was find the point where between the comfort and the first like stretch point beyond your current income, and just set that dial to there. So let's say it's 25K.
Yeah, so like the 25 to 50
feels very comfortable.
Yeah, like the 50 would be like the dial is turning up a little bit, but it still felt like achievable.
Cool. Then that's where like you can really, there's very little resistance there. And if you really put your mind to it and imbued your consciousness with that desire and intended it would probably start flowing into your life.
Yeah, if I had set it at the 250K a month, then that's where that resistance is going to start to show if it's there internally.
Exactly.
So is that right? 50, and then when 50 is the new...
When 50 is the new comfort, bump it up to 75 or 100. You'll feel into it. It's like, it's maybe a little bit like, well, you'll know more about this than I do, but maybe with fitness, right? It's like, how far you can push your body. You can't go all the way to like lifting from 0 to like something crazy.
Yeah.
But that, okay, let me push myself here a bit. And I think we can do that with frequency. And with wealth until the new frequency becomes natural.
Yeah.
And that's one of Neville's most important keys as well, is like, get the naturalness of the feeling, not the jumping off the walls. Oh my God, I won $1 million. That's not really what you're seeking. You're seeking a natural feeling of, 75K a month feels normal. If you can hold that frequency even when you're not there, then it'll start coming in. And I've seen that happen in my life.
Yeah, it's genius. Because it's genius for like relationships too. So if you've got that feeling of, right, what's the notch? Like, is the notch just going on one date? And then it's like, right, cool, I'm gonna go on one date. And then the same with health, like going to the gym. I love it. That's amazing. I love the notch. That actually sitting, closing eyes, and how's that feeling internally, and your current reality, if you want to take it up to a 2.0. Kind of play in that game, like play with the notch, what feels good that's also expansive. And then once you get to there, then the next one.
Exactly.
I love it. And that's awesome.
It's amazing. And look at the fears also of, okay, the 100K mark, or let's say 250K. Journal about it. Like, okay, what am I actually afraid of here? What would realistically, okay, tomorrow 250K, or this month 250K comes into my account. What does that mean about me? What am I afraid will happen? Am I afraid that I can't handle it? Am I afraid that I might lose it and then feel even worse? Am I afraid that others will look at me differently? Like,
Is it a worthiness piece?
is it a worthiness piece?
Yeah, because actually that exercise for me is like there's under the iceberg, because my beliefs around money is very much that the more abundance that we have, the more good that we can do to the world, the more we can look after those around us. So these are my conscious beliefs around money, yet there must be some stuff under the surface for that 250K, because else, if those beliefs were there, surely 250 wouldn't have any resistance if I truly believed that that money comes in and it's going to do good. So maybe also a worthiness piece. Do you feel worthy of that income? Interesting.
Totally.
Yeah.
Also, like, it's why you see sometimes young people achieve such rapid and quick success is they don't have limiting beliefs in the way that are holding them back.
Mm.
They don't know they're not supposed to earn 250K from crypto or from,
Yeah.
a Twitch or whatever streaming. They just don't know. They're like, oh, of course it's possible.
Yeah.
Whereas like someone a bit older who's like had more life experience, but also like more ups and downs, they've set themselves in such a way. They're like, well, I can't make that money that way. And so they can't. So part of the secret, I think, is also just dropping expectation. Now, I've been intending this recently of universe, I am open to miracles. I am open to breakthroughs, meaning I'm open to things that I'm not even aware of that I should be open to. There might be a breakthrough right around the bend, but because my mind is so rigidly, it must be this way, I will not see it. So I'm instructing my mind to see it. Universe, show me the opportunities that are so juicy that maybe I'm not even paying attention to them. Florence Scovel Shinn, an author from around Neville's time, she has a great affirmation. Universe or God, never let me miss a trick. Never let me miss a trick. Meaning like, pay attention. Reality is always giving you ideas, resources, people, but so often we just miss it because we're not attuned to it. So if you start attuning yourself to, let's say 50K, suddenly the idea to make it will appear in your reality. The right business partner, the right, something will shift. You'll be like meditating and like, oh shit, I can do this with my business, and it'll 10x it. And you've probably had that already happen before.
Yeah, I mean, like the income now compared to when I used to work as a lifeguard or personal trainer, it's like the same, more in a month than I used to earn in a year. So that's like a quantum leap in that sense. Yet still at this point, there's another level, and that next level requires this dial to slightly increase, which is like an internal game, right? So yeah, interesting.
My friend Musa also has this great line. He says, we were talking about money, and he's like, James, we're just talking about numbers, but who do you become at that level? Like, who is the James at this level of wealth versus where you are now, and what's the gap? And so you could actually, for many people, they can make faster progress if they just focus on who they need to become to be the millionaire, rather than going after the million directly.
Agreed, yeah.
Because the numbers, it's like the shiny object. In fact, it's the side effect of who you are. Your level of discipline, your level of networking, your level of, all the things that make up a person. So that's been a really cool thing. It's like, who am I at this new level, and what's the gap?
Yeah, and how can I embody that now?
Yeah.
Day to day. That's like your wizardry, bro. When you walk into a room, like a magnet, magnetized. People are just magnetized. It's like it's a presence. It's an energy, that you can hold. But that's conscious choice, right? That we can choose in any moment. Yeah. I have a question with Neville. If you were sat here now and you could have a conversation directly with Neville, what would you ask him?
Do you want to do mushrooms with me? Have you done mushrooms? No, truly, because Neville was all about consciousness. And I wonder if he had any experience in altered states of consciousness. I know he had altered states of consciousness because he talks about in later books, he had some very profound spiritual, mystical experiences. but I don't know if he's ever had plant medicine experiences. And it would be very interesting, I think, to take him on a guided James Xander trip and show Neville the world of mushrooms. And then maybe take him to my ayahuasca shaman.
Nice.
Yeah,
So you give him a real experience.
totally.
Yeah.
Because for me, it relates directly to his work.
That's awesome.
What I would love to know is like, how did he come up with all of this? Like there are some stories like he had a mentor that taught him some of this stuff, but the way he writes his books is so uniquely him. There's a certain style of language that he uses. I just would love to pick his brain and be like, how did you come up with like all of these genius, like you can quote like every single page of his books, and like they're so rich with meaning and understanding. So I would love to like see how his brain works and what was the genesis of it for him. Did he as a kid or as a teen know about the power of the mind? What was the turning point for him? Because I don't think we have information about that.
Like, was it an experience or was it self-development,
exactly.
a mentor?
In his books, he's so specific, like everything is God, everything is imagination. And it's this level of conviction, and you feel it through the book. He's not just speaking it, he is embodying it, he is living it. And I want to understand, was Neville always like that, or what was the thing that made him so embodied? Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to read you a couple of quotes from your YouTube videos.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then hear your perspective on...
No hate comments.
Yeah, no hate comments. And this is first one. Curiosity dissolves fear. You cannot be curious and afraid at the same time.
Yes.
What does this mean to you?
I think I learned this in part from Elizabeth Gilbert. She has this great quote of, curiosity and depression cannot coexist. You can't be curious and depressed at the same time. And then I took that and I said, that's actually true about fear in general. So in the context of psychedelics, if in a trip you feel fear, like something comes up, you're feeling uncomfortable, instead of resisting it, get curious, like lean in. Let's say the mushrooms show you some memory and it's very shadowy and like painful and you don't want to look at it. And you're resisting. You're like, oh, don't show me this, mushrooms. That's a recipe to start having a resistant trip, or what most people would call a bad trip. I don't really believe there's a bad trip, but I believe there's a resistance trip. Whereas if you say, okay, this is really uncomfortable to look at, I don't want to face this shadow, I don't want to look at this, but let me just sit with it. Let me get curious about it and see what comes out of it. And that tends to dissolve any tension in the trip, and it starts flowing again. Probably this is true in every area of life, like relationships. When you feel tension with someone, instead of jumping to a judgment or a conclusion, let me get curious about it. Why might that person have done this? That maybe was well-intentioned. See, like curiosity is the key that just unlocks your perception a little bit of like, maybe this is what my ego currently thinks, but what is the broader picture here? With money, 250K, too much, hard to earn, don't know how. Okay, let's get curious about that. Is it hard to earn? Who can I talk to who has earned it easily? It's like, again, opening that door. That's where expanders and mentors can be so helpful, because they're a few steps ahead. So they will, if you're not naturally curious, they will just challenge your beliefs and they'll get that curiosity going. But you can do it yourself. It's like, okay, curious. Do I have to live in North America, or can I move to Bali and have a different life?
Yeah.
So
playing out the scenarios, just curiosity.
It's the first doorway that just unlocks you into a new dimension. And from there, you can find your own truth. But yeah, fear, I don't think can really coexist if you're curious.
Epic. The next one. So we got, when you mistrust life, when you doubt the universe has your back, when you don't have faith in the creator, you are mentally and vibrationally telling the simulation you are not ready for more abundance. You are not ready for the blessings. If you don't trust the giver of the blessings, how can you receive them?
Yeah. Who wrote that?
That was you.
That was a good video.
Yeah.
I worked hard on that. Look, when we say abundance, many people think money. Some people might think resources. Some people might think abundance of love, abundance of friendships. Like there's different sorts of abundance. But I have realized so much of abundance is about trust, right? So if you trust life implicitly and you just know whatever happens, it's working out for you, that is the highest form of abundance. Because from that high vibrational state, you can see opportunities, you can receive blessings, you can receive help if you need help. It's the same thing with abundance of love. Can you be in a loving relationship without trust? Right? You can't. I mean, it would be very difficult.
Yeah.
So can you be in a good relationship with money without trust? And this is, I think, what I was getting at was, if you can just go directly to trusting God, trusting yourself, and trusting your higher self, everything starts to smooth over and become really flowing. But if you are trying to manifest money so you can feel secure, whereas deep down inside, you don't actually trust life and you feel unsafe in this container, this hologram, then it doesn't matter how much money you make because you didn't get it. You still don't trust life. I think it's one of the biggest lessons and one that I'm still to this day working on is, how can I trust more? No matter what happens, can I trust more?
How can I trust more?
How can I trust more? How can I perceive all things that are happening for me are for my benefit? There's a word called pronoia, which is the opposite of paranoia. So pronoia is the universe is conspiring to bless you. Like instead of bad things are happening to you or conspiring, it's like, no, pronoia. Like everything is happening for your divine good.
I love that. Pronoia.
Pronoia.
Yeah.
Just consider it.
Just go, I've got pronoia.
Yeah. I believe everything is happening for my good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, get lost. Paranoia.
Yeah.
Pronoia.
Pronoia.
Nice. Embody the pronoia within. Quite a cool word as well, that.
Yeah.
Pronoia. Nice. And the simulation part of that.
Yeah. That's a little wink, right? For people that
what's the simulation? What do you perceive as a simulation?
When I did DMT for the very first time, I had this distinct feeling that reality was a hologram. It was holographic. It wasn't actually as tangible as I previously thought. And so when I use the word simulation, I sort of use it as a way of, this is all a game for your consciousness and for your soul. It's not technically real. But for the purpose of the game, it has to feel absolutely real. Therefore, we oftentimes fall into this sleepwalking state where we really take reality really, really, really seriously. But when you can zoom out a little bit, and especially on psychedelics, you do kind of see how reality is very malleable. More is possible than what your human mind can perceive. And so I think I use that word in that particular context as a way of, imagine you are in a simulation and you're the only consciousness that exists. And everyone who is in your reality they're part of you. They're not separate, which is what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
So the deepest relationship in that simulation container would then be the simulation itself. not a human in the game, or not even yourself, although those are important, but what is my relationship with life? Almost thinking of life as a human being, or it has a human element. Who's to say it doesn't, right? I think we're taught in school from a young age of thinking of life as very objective and very almost cold. Like you were born here and it's a random thing from evolution, and life is like a meaningless thing, and it's very cold, very objective. Instead, what if you go all the way to the other extreme? You are in, everything is connected. You're here for a divine purpose. Life itself is supporting you. So how can you build a deeper relationship with life? And the giver and the gift and the receiving part, when someone gives you a gift, if you don't appreciate it, do you think they will keep giving you gifts? Probably not.
No.
So looking at life and saying, what gifts is life giving me right now? And am I really taking the moment to appreciate it? So anytime money comes into my account and I see a Stripe receipt in my email, before I archive it, I always take a moment to bless it, or to bless the person that is responsible for it, or to just send some gratitude, just to keep that relationship with money really wholesome. So you can do that with everything. It's like with food, are you blessing it? Are you being grateful? Truly grateful, not just like obligatory gratefulness, but actual feeling grateful. I think that's one of the secrets to life.
You do this amazingly well with compliments too.
Ah.
It's amazing. I love it, because I've been a person who, past old self, someone would compliment, and it's so easy to just push it to one side and give them a compliment back straight away, or actually just carry on the conversation and not really take it on board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something I've noticed you do amazingly well. And I love it. It's something that I feel like is that I'd like to, well, I am embodying now,
Yeah.
where someone will compliment and then you go,
I receive. No, because you take a moment to, and I do it in a cheeky way,
yeah,
but
I love it.
even if I didn't vocalize it, I would actually feel it mentally, of like, someone is sending you positive energy. And like you said, for many people, the training is deflect. Oh yeah. It's all good. It's all good. Versus, what if you just said, thank you. Thank you for that reflection. Thank you for noticing that about me. Not like really receiving it as a gift of energy. Because then you're telling the universe, I'm open for more. I'm not denying the greatness that others are seeing in me, or that I'm seeing in myself, or the beauty, or I'm not denying it. I'm just saying, yes, more of this, please.
And the pause.
The pause. Well, tell me about the pause.
Like the compliment comes.
Yes.
Then bang, couple seconds.
Yeah.
Receive it.
Yes.
Feel it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Then respond.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful for those who maybe struggle taking compliments or receiving even feedback, positive, negative, actually pausing, letting it land.
Yes.
Receiving it.
Yes.
Thankful for it. Then respond.
Absolutely. Yeah. It just has to be genuine, right? So for some people, maybe in some contexts, I don't pause and say, I receive. But where appropriate, or where I just feel like having a little bit of fun, then I will.
Or even an internal game.
Internal, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like receive that.
Yeah.
The things that you want, that you would like to experience more of, it would make sense to be grateful for those things.
The idea is not to block your own blessings. So how many times has like someone offered to do something for free for you, and you're like, no, I'll pay for it. And there's what is that about? Right? It's almost like you're not prepared to receive love or receive something for free. So I just encourage everyone, look in your life, the next time someone offers to buy you dinner or gives you a compliment or just gives you a gift, really just take a moment and receive it with no deflection. No, I have to give it back right away. I have to give something back. It's just receive. And then when you run into someone and you can give something to them, then give, right? So it's the same side of the same coin, or sorry, it's two sides of the same coin, giving and receiving. And just trust that, like, when I give to someone now, I don't need to receive it from them, the same energy, because I know it'll come around through someone else or through some other avenue. And so trust when someone is giving something to you, they likewise will be benefited from that in other ways, even if you don't personally do it. So there's no tracking of the ledger of how much did I give or how much, like, the universe has the ledger.
Yeah.
Your job is just to give as much as you can from the heart, be of service, be compensated for your time, because there's also giving where it's like, that's a whole other discussion, but there's tricky ways of, like, when people say giving but they're in scarcity, they're giving but they're draining themselves. So I have to, like, have a distinction here. There's giving from a place of overflow and a place of joy, and there's giving from, I have to give because there's no choice. I need to make money. And it's like very different frequencies. So the more you can give from overflow, then that overflow will come back to you and you'll receive. I've seen it in my life over and over again.
It's beautiful, man. Should we do one more of these?
Sure. Would love that.
I mean, this conversation, I could just keep this going all day.
Let's do it.
Right. So right at the darkest moment, you are closest to the light. The darkest point is where you can jump into your truth.
I like to think that at the darkest point, well, first of all, I take this metaphor from it's darkest before the dawn, apparently. When you're having a difficult moment, you're actually really, really close to your breakthrough. It's like, that's why it's so difficult. Like, you are resisting. The universe is trying to teach you something. It's getting really freaking tough. If you can, in that moment, look at what is the truth I'm not willing to face, or why am I pushing against this? Might there be a way around this? Can I just sit and relax and meditate and see if any downloads come through? Then that thing that is so bad could turn out to be the biggest blessing of it all. So when I'm experiencing something dark, it probably means I'm not facing a certain truth. So it's a fantastic gift for me to understand more truth about myself. Do you feel that in your life? It's like when you're in a dark moment, it's you're close to uncovering something. And if you can just step into that truth, the light opens up.
Yeah, I see that. And I see it as there's two sides to everything. So when it feels so dark, there's also maybe a perspective that we're not seeing.
Yeah.
There's lighter, like more of our truth.
So I was trying to think of the story that kind of inspired that, and I remember it now. It's so good. So before I launched my solo YouTube channel where I talk about psychedelics, I first launched a podcast channel, and I recorded a few episodes, and there was one guest that I really wanted to get on the podcast, and I got the guest, and they were living in US. So I sent a videographer to their place to film their side of the podcast professionally, because I wanted it to be, like, so good. Anyway, the videographer was not organized, and, like, things just, like, went. I had such pressure on myself to make this episode so good, and I prepared so hard, and, like, not everything, but a lot of things went sideways in a way that made me, I went home after that interview and I was like so frustrated because I had worked so hard to engineer the videographer at the place and preparation, and it just went not the way I expected. And I came home. I was so mad. I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not doing any, like, high production videos anymore. I'm just going to like set up this camera in my bedroom and I'm going to record and I'm just going to talk to the camera. And that's where my solo channel was born. And within the first 5 videos, 3 of my first 5 videos are the highest performing videos on my channel right now. And it's because I was from a moment of darkness and frustration and like, fuck this shit. It went from the truth, which is you don't need any of this production. Just speak to the camera, speak your truth. And the energy was felt. And that's why those videos blew up.
Yes.
And this is like an example of something bad happens. Neville calls it a bridge of incidents. When you're in the middle of these incidents, you have no way of knowing whether it's a good incident or bad because the bridge is taking you to the end state. So for me, a seemingly bad interview led to the beginning of my channel. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was just a funny situation where I'm just like so frustrated. And then it leads to, okay, what is the truth is there's excess potential here. I'm putting too much on this high production value. I need to actually go in the complete opposite direction.
And then bang.
And then the videos started taking off.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. So to close out, we have the tradition on the Transformation Code where we have the vault.
The vault.
The vault.
Bring out the vault.
So inside of the vault, we had 10 mystery messages. And then each guest leaves either a message or a question for a future guest. So it may be the next episode, it may be 10, 20 episodes time. But when that person, whoever the guest is, needs that message, I believe that they'll pick out your message and bang, they're going to have it and they'll receive it and they'll sit and go, received.
Beautiful.
If they've listened to this episode.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we've got your mystery message. Are you ready for?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's bring out the vault.
I'm feeling called to this one. You can't take the old version of you into the next chapter. Release or remain. You decide. Unknown mystery message. Love this. Cool. Release or remain. I love that. So what I'm getting from that is release what's not working or remain in your current old timeline that's not serving you. The second lesson in my course is all about decluttering, but not just physically, like mentally, metaphysically. How can you release as much of the old that is not working to create a vacuum so the new reality can come in? So yeah, this is very, very cool, very timely.
Beautiful. On that note, James, thanks so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. I've loved this conversation. Really fascinating diving into the psychedelics, altered states, and just getting to know you more on a deeper level as well. And where can the audience find you?
James Xander on YouTube. If they go to wizardjames.com, it actually goes directly to my YouTube. And I'd love it if they could check out my podcast, The James Xander Trip. It's where I interview cosmic, spiritual, shroomy guests. And yeah, just connect with me on Instagram, connect with me on YouTube. It's where I post everything.
Amazing. Guys, thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, then subscribe, leave a comment, share it with someone who you believe would benefit in this level of conversation. And we'll see you on the next episode.